Real persons who caught a demon in a trap. My name is Bill. Welcome to Night Terrors this week. And we're starting right now. Welcome to Takahama Plateau and welcome to Eldergrown. Welcome to Dinkamasi. Let's get started. Oh wait, I gotta do the spiel. If you value what I do on Night Terrors and the live show, why don't we just stumble through this? One way to support the channel is through Patreon. Become a patron of the show by clicking on the Patreon link in the description below. Thank you for supporting the show. Now let's get started. Thank you, Elder, for the report. Oh, it ain't even there. Let's get it up there. Here at paranormalhauntings.blog is a story by Unlisted. Let's see if the name's at the end. I'm Charlene. And a story by Charlene entitled, What is a Dybbuk Box? Dybbuk boxes from around the world in history. Which begins, Welcome, Brooke Birch. Whenever Dybbuk boxes are mentioned, welcome, Gotcha Man. Ooh, I got a link from Gotcha Man. Let's check this out real quick. Cool. Thank you, Gotcha Man. Whenever Dybbuk boxes, let me Gotcha Man says I come bearing links. D-Man, put the upcoming features there in the chat, would you? Whenever Dybbuk boxes are mentioned within groups or on social media posts, everyone always assumes the first one was the Dybbuk box that Kevin Mannis owned, which some do and many do not believe his story regarding how he came into contact with it. Never heard of the guy. Welcome, Zerithian. Welcome to Kay Lorraine. However, the history of the Dybbuk box. Thank you, G-Man. What's the theme title? Oh, the Coen Brothers. I got it, bro. Thanks. Welcome, Green Tea. I missed it there in the beginning. And got it. Let me just move that where it's supposed to be. Yeah, we'll take a thing there. However, the history of the Dybbuk box goes back much further, in my opinion, writes the author. And it would seem many people from over the world have been using items to trap spirits within for many years, which in turn shows some similar traits to the Dybbuk box we know today, and that is more publicly known. The Dybbuk box, or Dybbuk box spelled with an I, normally spelled with a Y, is a box which is said to be haunted by a Dybbuk. A Dybbuk is a restless, usually malicious spirit, believed to be able to haunt and even possess a person. It is believed that the spirit of the Dybbuk, welcome Rhino Rex, is summoned to the box in some way, which limits its power, and it is only when the box is opened that the full force of this entity will be shown. Welcome, Verpeen. Most Dybbuk boxes normally have some kind of symbols or writing engraved upon them as a warning to those who come into contact with them. and the warning is normally that it should not be opened. No joke. Normally, the box will be sealed with wax and locked, and has items within it, which can normally be heard when the box is shaken. Never shook a Dybbuk box, but I'll take your word for it. Over the years, people have opened Dybbuk boxes, and they normally contain personal items, such as ashes, or items of a religious nature. Whoop, I've missed some say. Some may sat. Some may say the idea of the Dybbuk box came from the story of Pandora's box. In mythology, according to Hesiod, when Prometheus stole fire from heaven, Zeus, the king of gods, took vengeance by presenting Pandora to Prometheus's brother, Epimetheus. First time I ever read these words. Not too bad so far. Pandora opened a jar left in his care containing sickness, death, and many other evils, which were then released upon the world. Though she hastened to close the container, only one thing was left behind, usually translated as hope. Though it could also have the pessimistic meaning of deceptive expectation. Eldergrown with a nice animated GIF. Thank you, Elder. Looks like it might be Tony Curtis. And I don't know, but definite misogyny there, sir. From this story has grown the idiom to open a Pandora's box, meaning to do or start something that will cause many unforeseen problems. The word translated as box was actually jar, pithos in Greek, when referring to Pandora's box. Not sure why she's translating everything here to Goyim terms. There are many different forms of demon traps from all parts of the world. In theory, the Dybbuk box is a demon trap in itself, within modern Western culture. But in previous years, we've used different items to more or less achieve the same thing. To trap a spirit, where that spirit is bad. Over the centuries, there has been talk of evil spirits, ghosts, and demons. There have been tales of ways to bind, subdue, and imprison them. It is natural for humans to lash out and try to control, subjugate, and tame the things we do not understand, like evil. There's been many efforts to draw in and entrap demons, evil spirits, and other entities from beyond. Where humans try to study them. Medieval Europe consisted of symbols that would draw in a demon's curiosity, and then it would be sealed in a never-ending loop. These symbols would be designed so that any passing demon would be lured into the symbol to investigate. Upon investigating, the symbol would lock on its energy. Such symbols would be used in buildings. On buildings, I believe she means. And there is proof of this to this day, with some 18th and 19th century buildings still having the remains of such symbols on their doors, walls, and even floors, sometimes on the outside of the buildings. That my parenthetical addition. It was believed that these symbols could draw unwanted attention away, as well as trap demons if they came too close. What I find interesting, continues the author, is that items that claim to trap spirits, demons, and dark entities all have something in common. And in certain cultures, a piece of writing written in the Old Testament of the Bible is always in some way included. Never heard of that part. The legend of King Solomon states that a ring was given to him by the majestic Archangel Michael, inscribed with a magical seal. Of course, the seal of Solomon, his own seal. It doesn't have the seal. It's got no appeal. Thank you, T. Plateau, for the jewels. Much appreciated, ma'am. The magic ring apparently gave him power to control demons. And we'll be coming up to a little bit more upon Solomon. Not the ring that with which he controlled the demons, but the container in which he trapped them. This belief that a dark energy can be trapped and controlled within a ring can now be seen and depicted in some form or another in the Christian, Islamic, and Jewish faiths. That's the closest she's ever come to the true definition of the Dybbuk box. The ring given to King Solomon is very widely believed in Arabic tales of jinn, or modern genie. The jinn is a variation of many things, okay, and sits somewhere in between angels and mankind. Jinns are allegedly capable of many great acts, both good and evil. The most common items jinns were allegedly trapped within were rings and lamps. Yeah, only one example of a lamp, I believe, ma'am. And mostly other kinds of vessels. That's true. Only one, in only one place was a lamp ever mentioned. And it became quite popular. I dream of it. And it is said that some of the greatest magic and in Arabic lore, some were able to capture jinns to their service. Have you ever heard of the Disney film Aladdin? Spelled here, Aladdin. Well, the film is based on this belief, and the genie you see is actually a jinn. Normally, T. Plateau says, I dream of Jenny. Normally, rings with gems are used to trap jinns. And the owner, I'm not sure about that one either. And the owner of the ring has complete control over the jinn. In some tales, it is believed that jinns will try to sway the owner or passers-by to the item by giving the option of 3 wishes in turn for being released. When released, the jinn would take revenge on humanity by tormenting the poor soul of whoever released them. The jinn are not strictly believed just in Arabic tales. It's believed that jinns are represented in pagan beliefs as well. And they are surely integrated into Islamic belief. The creature Shadim, described exactly as a jinn, is mentioned within Jewish folklore as well, and the art of trapping such creatures is also available in public documentation. A few years ago, continues the author, welcome Aloysius to Vendor Abercrombie. Some time ago, I posted in our group about Dybbuk boxes, and a member of our community asked me what it was. This member lived in Thailand and stated there was something similar in his culture. However, it was not summoned to a box or a ring, but a clay pot. He explained to me that dark entities would be summoned there, This would be sealed and then thrown into the sea. He stated that the name for such pots was the mokau. These clay pots are normally used to cook rice, but within ceremonies, they are used to capture evil ghosts, and I imagine they do not do double duty. Important to mention that, ma'am. At the same time, I have to give you credit. I mean, I don't have anything published on the internet like you do, so please forgive me. Just my style. And to banish them. Not much is documented on the mokau. I have visited Thailand, continues the author, and I do know that a lot of their population holds strong spiritual beliefs. And maybe such things are not often spoke of, as Thailand's people may be frightened to speak out about such things. I have found this has been the case in several countries I have visited in my years of traveling. Welcome to Rage Against the Machine. Welcome to SP78. Good to see you guys. I have found this has been the case in several countries I've visited. People just don't want to talk about the darker side of their spirituality, in case it opens the door and invites evil in. The Tokolosh is a fabulous water spirit, or a kelpie, as the Scottish might say, that is rumored to haunt certain rivers. That would be in the continent of Africa. And it is known to be very fond of women. Welcome to Dig on the Hill. Welcome to Big Daddy. It is described as being not a mischievous. It is described as being mischievous, and is often thought to be used by witches for nefarious purposes. Welcome to Rage Against the Machine. It is said its appearance resembles a tiny, hairy dwarf. And a picture of the Tokolosh is above. Right there, the Tokolosh. The eyes of a Tokolosh have been gouged out, but it uses its other senses to find its way around. And I've read about the Tokolosh, never heard that one, but it's here in print, so it must be true. A skull hole. Oh my. Never heard of that one either. The skull of a Tokolosh has a big hole made by a red-hot poker. The special power of heat plays a vital part in Zulu magic. His body is withered and gray, and far smaller than the corpse from which it was made. Was made from a human corpse or a Tokolosh corpse? Inquiring people want to know. The Tokolosh is known in Africa, and it would seem the belief in this entity is very high in certain cultures there. I first came to hear, continues the author, about the Tokolosh in our group when a man posted a post. When a man posted seeking advice. He explained in his post that he lived in South Africa and that several months ago a family friend of 50 years had passed away. During his friend's funeral, his friend's son approached him and informed him that his father had made him a promise, and it was to give him a box. This box was to remain sealed, and came with these strict instructions never to open it, and in the event of his death, he was to pass it on to whomever he chose. And the person he chose would have to keep it safe. He explained that in African folklore there was an evil spirit known as the Tokolosh. And apparently in the not 1870s, it's dark over here. And apparently in the 1970s, locals at a village were plagued by a Tokolosh and a witch doctor, also known as a Sangoma, was summoned to get rid of it. Apparently several ceremonies had taken place to capture the Tokolosh, which was finally accomplished, and it was sealed in the wooded box he received. A curse was then placed upon the box, upon anyone who dared open it. Rage Against the Machine. Synchro's around a lot. He drops in about, I'd say, 33% of the time. Synchro's around a lot. Eldergrown says, here's your inheritance, son. Demon in a box. Don't shake it. The man who posted asked for advice on what he thought he should do with it. What he thought. The poster asked for advice on what anybody thought he should do with it. He didn't want to open it. He didn't want to pass it to his children. And the instructions also stated he was not to burn it. I believe this gentleman's account to be true. After research, I found that Africans, come on, lady. After researching, I found out this entity was really feared, and that it was believed the entities were sent to families to cause pain and disruption. I'm having to edit here in my mind. Some families often put bricks under their beds to raise it, so that nothing can attack while they are asleep. There are daily reports in African newspapers of Tokolosh attacks, with some headlines stating, Tokolosh attacks church, or essayed by a Tokolosh. Recently, I spoke to an African lady, and she very much agreed that Tokolosh is feared. She also believed it does terrorize families. She agreed that in order to remove such a creature from the village, a local witch doctor or a spiritual healer, known as a Nanga, would do ceremonies in order to rid a village of the thing. She also stated that in some instances, the witch doctor themselves might then be unalived by the villagers because they had simply had contact with the entity. The spirit trap looks very similar to what some of us recognize as the dream catcher. I assume she's still talking about the Tokolosh catcher. The roots of the dream catcher go back to what Native Americans dubbed as the spirit trap. The difference is that a spirit trap a spirit trap? How about this spirit trap? The difference is that this spirit trap has hoops and has no central hole. It is believed that there is a hole. It is believed that if there is a hole, even a small one, the spirit could slip through. Many spirit traps are machine-made. Maybe she's now talking about a dream catcher? Yeah, she must be talking about the dream catcher now, which of course is a First Peoples device. A lot of these spirit traps are machine-made so that the hoops are so tight they are classified as traps. The spirit trap is said to draw the spirit near and will trap it within until dawn's light comes. Until dawn's light comes, at which point the spirit will burn in the morning light. But not completely. Just sends them back to where they belong. These are often placed outside of houses or hung over a front door, as the belief is, if it doesn't see the rays of the sun, then this spirit will not begin to burn. With so many different cultures using items to capture spirits over the centuries, it's not hard to see why Dybbuk boxes may have more meaning than some actually think. Whether you believe Kevin Manus's story, still no idea who Kevin Manus is. I'm going to have to look this guy up. And I am freezing here in the studio. Must make efforts to become warm. Pardon me. Dinkamasi says in certain parts of Tanzania, deep-seated superstitions, fueled by witch doctors, have led to the horrific practice of using body parts of people with albinism, including arms. Not the smallest and most terrible thing to use. Eldergone says, wait. So this thing now hanging in my room traps demons and not dreams? No wonder it works so sporadically. Rage Against the Machine says, I know voodoo is real, and I've always heard I've always heeded warnings. Good for you, Rage. Dinkamasi has heard of Dennis the Menace. P. Olson, too, reminds us Synchro has a lot of composing to do. Whether you believe the Kevin Manus story about how he came into contact with a Dybbuk box and what he experienced, we have been trying to conceal entities into items for centuries. Millennia. So the next time you see a post and someone says the Dybbuk box was a made-up story by Kevin Manus. Okay, so we got to go to Kevin Manus at this point. That's pretty much all we're going to cover on this article. So, because there's some debunky stuff that follows. So, who is this dude? Where's our search? Oh, it's in the other browser at this time. Where's the other browser? I'm guessing here. Good stuff. We'll say Kevin Manus Dybbuk. That's those two B's, people. Oh, it's a common search. Eldergrown with an excellent MST3K joke. Peripherally. It's peripherally MST3K, I think one might more accurately say. The Possession, IMDb, Kevin Manus. Kevin. His name doesn't appear down here, but there's a couple of them up top. At genius.com. Description of the Dybbuk or Dybbuk box for eBay. Oh, someone's selling a Dybbuk box on eBay. Yeah, let's take a look at them too. Kevin Manus, because there are Dybbuk boxes on eBay. So, and this is like blank. All the events. Oh. Okay, so here I guess is the description of the eBay item. Let's quick look at eBay first. Duplicate here. Dybbuk box. Let's one guaranteed to be haunted. Real haunted. Demonic Dybbuk box. Haunted Apex Demon Dybbuk box. That's quite a box. Kind of a dark picture, though. It's actually, that skeleton figure is actually sitting on a box or mounted to it. Dybbuk box with melted wax on the top. Dybbuk box should not be opened. Only $29. I'm tempted. This guy, 110, I guess, for the superior artwork. Pre-owned. Pre-owned. Of course. They should all be pre-owned. Haunted Dybbuk box. Haunted Dybbuk box. Entity. Seal of Solomon. Okay, here we go. Dybbuk box. Very old, authentic and active, demonic. $120 plus $11 delivery, approximately. There's the picture. Is there only one picture? Some kind of, almost looks like a railroad spike, but like a mini railroad spike lying on the top there. Oh, no, that's the lock. That broad nail swivels over the top of that lid. Oh, and there's one on the other side. So the lid is held by two nails, basically. And you swivel them apart, not if you're smart, and then take off the lid. He's wearing gloves to handle it. What's the description? Very old and active Dybbuk box. This is from my grandfather's collection. This is a genuine box with real attachments and real activity. EVP, which is electronic voice phenomenon. That's where you put a cassette tape recorder, if you can remember those, or digital recorder these days, or your phone. You leave it recording sound in a graveyard, and then you come back and pick it up, and when you listen to it, there are people talking on it. Even if you were sitting there with the recorder while it was recording, when you play it back, you can hear these voices. EVP sessions were conducted and confirmed. The highest amounts of activity, ideal for real serious collectors. This is not a toy. This box has never been opened. The items inside are unknown. Handle at your own risk. Again, this is not a toy and should be treated with respect. Due to eBay's rules and regulations, I must state the following. This is for entertainment purposes. No returns accepted. Due to eBay's rules and regulations, he must state no returns accepted. I kind of doubt that part. Eldergrown says, most often they ask questions and see if the recorder picks up responses. Yeah, that's one way to do it. No, Elder's right. My apologies, Elder. Welcome to Justin Nicholson. Good to see you, brother. Okay, now let's read this other guy, Kevin's description. Get rid of this stuff. Okay, here's some famous Dybbuk box posting. And if it's a creepypasta, we're not doing it because we don't do creepypasta here. Do not play the description. Oh, description of the Dybbuk box. We could play it. I'm going to give it a shot. We haven't done any special media stuff lately, right? Let's hear someone else read this. If his voice is no good, we'll swap out. Oh, come on. What? You got to pay to do it. Nonsense. Nonsense. That's David Steinberg's definition, by the way. If you know David Steinberg's definition of nonsense, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, we'll have to read it, looks like. On Amazon Music Unlimited. Oh, it's an ad. Isn't that special? An advert that plays what's listed on a web page. Isn't that special? Rage Against the Machine says, welcome to Scramey Ebitherm. Scramey Ebitherm says, what? I saw the title of the video and I just had to push the link. Wild. Thank you, Scramey. Welcome, Justin Nicholson. I think I had welcomed Justin already, but welcome again, Justin. T. Plateau says, I'm not paying to hear some demon. No, this is the description of the demon box on eBay. And if it's a creepypasta, we're ducking out because we don't do fictional stuff here, only real stuff. Okay, guys? Okay, so this old description of a box which supposedly contains a demon called the Dybbuk box was at one time on eBay. And it was posted by a guy called Kevin Manis. And his description read as follows. The events I am about to set forth in this listing are accurate and may be verified by the winning bidder with copies of hospital records and sworn affidavits that I am including as a part of the sale of this cabinet. During September of 2001, I attended an estate sale in Portland, Oregon. The items liquidated at this sale were from the estate of a woman who had passed away at the age of 103. Thank you, Dinkamasi. You know that's where I got my reply to you, don't you? And thank you for letting me borrow it. Thank you, Dinkum. The items liquidated at this sale were from the estate of a woman. I read that already. The granddaughter of the woman told me she had been born in Poland, where she grew up and married and raised a family. The grandmother, that is. And there she lived until she was sent into a schmatzy concentration camp during World War II. Now, this is a real Dybbuk box, people. It sounds like a real one. Let's just say it sounds like a real one. We're very discerning here. She was the only member of the family who survived at the camp. Parents, brothers, a sister, husband, 2 sons and a daughter, all unalived. She survived the camp by escaping with some other prisoners. Good for her. And somehow made her way to Spain, where she lived until the end of the war. I was told she acquired the small wine cabinet listed here in Spain. and it was one of only 3 items that she brought with her when she crossed the ocean. The other 2 items were a steamer trunk and a sewing box. I purchased the wine cabinet along with a sewing box and some other furniture at the estate sale. After the sale, I was approached by the woman's granddaughter, who said, "I see you got the Dybbuk box." She was referring to the wine cabinet. I asked her what a Dybbuk box was, and she told me that when she was growing up, her grandmother always kept the wine cabinet in her sewing room, and it was always shut. It was also set in a place that was out of reach. The grandmother always called it a Dybbuk box. When the girl asked her grandmother what was inside, her grandmother spit 3 times through her fingers and said, "A Dybbuk and Keseline." The grandmother went on to tell the girl that the wine cabinet was never ever to be opened. The granddaughter told me that grandmom asked her to bury the box with her. However, as such a request was contrary to the rules of an Orthodox Jewish burial, the grandmother's request had not been honored. Well, you would think that, I don't know, you don't want to defy religion, but you would think that someone who loved her would have tried to find a way to get that box in there. I asked the granddaughter what a Dybbuk and Keseline were, but she didn't know. What is a Keseline? Let's ask AI. What is a paste? This shouldn't take the ChatGPT too long. Depends entirely on context, but Keselim is not a standalone English word. Hebrew root term is fool, foolish person, or stupid fellow. In other words, how would you say it? Ritual, a ritualistic phrase to utter after you spit 3 times to ward off evil, if you have to mention the Dybbuk box. I asked if she would like to open it with me. Already he wants to disobey Grandma. As her grandmother had been very emphatic and serious when she instructed her not to do so, she did not want to open it. And regardless of the reason, she wanted to honor Grandma's request. I finally ended up offering to let her keep what seemed to me to be a sentimental keepsake. But she was insistent. She said, "No, you bought it." I explained I didn't want my money back. It would make me feel better to do what I thought was an act of kindness. Then she became upset. Looking back now, that was just plain odd. She raised her voice and said, "You bought it. You made a deal." Now that sounds creepypasta to me. That sounds creepypasta. One more creepypasta whiff and we're out of here. When I tried to speak, she yelled, "We don't want it." She began to cry, asked me to leave, and quickly walked away. This is a damn creepypasta. We're out of here. Okay, sorry about that, folks. We tried. So we know the guy's trying to sell a Dybbuk box with a creepypasta. Goodbye, Amazon Unlimited. Wait, I shouldn't have done that. I still need a search place. And we'll use DuckDuckGo for now. We usually use Brave, but DuckDuckGo is also confidential, supposedly. Okay, next. here at the demonicparadise.fandom.com is a kind of Wikipedia, or a wiki entry, one should say. It's at the Demonic Paradise Wiki. And it's entitled Brass Vessel. Wiki entries can have any number of authors. They can be revised by people who know more things. And sometimes people revise them with the wrong things. But that doesn't usually... misinformation usually doesn't last too awful long, one would hope, at a wiki. And the entry begins. The brass vessel, or the vessel of brass, is a large container crafted by King Solomon to imprison 72 demons that he had enslaved and then commissioned to build his temple. The vessel was cast into the central cistern in Iran by King Solomon, because it contained tormented spirits of the jinn. Solomon then branded the lid with his sacred seal to ensure the spirits never escape. However, upon its casting into the sea, it tainted the water supply of the entire city. We'll see an alternative version of this tale coming up. An alternative and highly more detailed, causing anyone who drank it to hallucinate their worst fear, resulting in people appearing to be possessed by jinn demons. These people were driven mad, and the city was subsequently abandoned. This vessel was then later discovered by the Babylonians, who believed it contained a great treasure. When they broke it open, the demons and their legions were set free, and they returned to their infernal abode. The whereabouts and status of the vessel is unknown, although scholars believe that the brass vessel would still be capable of trapping these demons, but only if it had the lid that bore the seal of Solomon. And it ain't easy to keep the lid of an old container. The history of the jinn shut up in the brazen vessel by King Solomon recalls the story of the fisherman and the jinn in the Arabian Nights. In this particular tale, however, there was only one jinn trapped within a vessel? The history of jinn shut up in a brazen vessel recalls the story. Oh, talking about the fisherman and the jinn story. Okay. In this particular tale, there was only one jinn trapped within a vessel of yellow brass, which inspired the modern interpretation of a genie in a bottle. There it is. There's the mention of the genie in a bottle, or lamp, granting wishes to whoever frees the spirit from its prison. I ought to correct this wiki. In this case, the jinn trapped in the brass vessel in question would be a marid. Oh, this is the brass vessel that's supposed to... the famous brass vessel with the 72 demons. Let's take a close-up look at that if we can. Oh, it looks like it might be very small, but sometimes they're not. Come on. It doesn't let us open the image. I'm pretty sure we cross it again. I'm pretty sure we crossed that image again, so that should be coming up. His seal evidently on the top there. But you can't see it because when I point to it, it half disappears. The lid, that is. Oh, and that's it. Oh, this is under... this content is available under Creative Commons. It is at the-demonic-paradise.fandom.com. It is uncredited. And the other information about it And this is on YouTube. This, oh wait, no. I am on YouTube. I get confused about that sometimes. Sometimes. Excuse me. And that should be the appropriate credit for the use of this content. Excuse me. Pardon me. Here at genies.fandom.com, there's an article entitled Spirits of Solomon. Again, we must look for an author. Oh, another CC by SA. Another wiki type entry, apparently. It is a wiki. It says so in the URL. And we're given that... and here, if you look at the screen, you can see the whole URL. This for the other one, the previous one. And the uncredited entry begins. 72 jinn captured by the legendary King Solomon, who imprisoned them in the vessel of brass and cast it into the sea. Again, it repeats, the vessel was discovered by Babylonians who believed it contained a great treasure. This is word for word from the other one. They returned to their home. One exception to the demons who then returned to their home after the vessel was opened by the Babylonians was Belial, who entered an image and delivered oracles in exchange for sacrifices and divine honors. Entered an image. I guess it means entered like a painting or an inscription upon a wall or something like that. Some kind of imagery on a wall or something. Belial entered an image and delivered oracles in exchange for sacrifices and divine honors. Welcome to What's the Allegory Morning Glory. The Lamagadaton, or Lesser Key of Solomon, is a grimoire that gives instructions for the evocation of the 72 spirits. We're not going to do that today, but we will get into much more detail on Solomon immediately after this page. Solomon's vessel of brass, that is. And the story of the capture into a container of the 72 demons. They are also known as the spirits of the brazen vessel, and they are also known as the false monarchy of demons. Combined, the spirits accomplish all abominations, quote unquote. These 72 spirits are, in the order they were commanded into the brazen vessel: Baal, Agadas, Vasago, Tamagina, Marbas, Balafor, Aemon, Barbados, Paimon, Boar, Guzon, Citri, Belet, Larage, Eligo, Zapar, Otis, Batin. I think after I say all these words, I disappear or something. I don't have any containers around here. Do I? Salos, Brizo, Marax, Ipos, Aim, Nabirius. There's only 72. Glacia Labos, Une, Renove, Berit, Astaroth, Borneus, Horas, Asmode, Gape, Fur, Marcosius, Stolas, Phoenix, Alphus, Malthus, Rhyme, Pocalar, Vapar, Sabnak, Chax, Vine, Bifron, Voile, Agente, Cocelli, no, it's Cocel, Urcas, Alam, Alocus, Caim, Murmur, Orabas, Gramori, Oza, Ame, Arias, Vapila, Zagan, Valak, Andras, Horus, Andorefus, Semelis. We're almost done. We're around 67. Amdusius, Belial, Dacarabia, Sire, Dantalian, and Andormalius. T. Plateau says, any minute now, Bill will turn into a snail. According to tradition, the jinn stood behind the learned humans in Solomon's court, who in turn sat behind the prophets. The jinn remained in the service of Solomon, who had placed them in bondage and had ordered them to perform a number of tasks, including the building of his temple. Here, a quote from the Quran, chapter and verse 27:17. And before Solomon were marshaled his hosts, of jinn and men and birds, and they were all kept in order, and they were all kept in rank. And, quote, the Quran relates that Solomon died while he was leaning on his staff. As he remained upright, propped upon his staff, the jinn thought he was still alive, and he was supervising them, so they continued with their work at his behest. They realized the truth only when Allah sent a creature to crawl out of the ground and gnaw at Solomon's staff until his body collapsed. The Quran then comments that if they had known the unseen, they would not have stayed in the humiliating torment of being enslaved. Another quote here, chapter and verse 34:14. Then when we decreed Solomon's death, nothing showed them his death except a little worm of the earth, which kept slowly gnawing away at his staff. And when he fell down, the jinn saw plainly that if they had known the unseen, they would not have tarried in the humiliating penalty of their task. End quote. The names of the demons who attended Solomon, son of David, they are 70. Weren't there 72 up here? 72 up here, so we're not going to read this quote because they are essentially the same names. Actually, there are a whole bunch of different names, and we're not reading them because a lot of them are in Arabic or whatever language that is. My apologies for being so ignorant. I'll get this chair cinched up eventually. The names of the 7 whose offspring these demons were. Oh, so those 70 or 72 demons were the offspring of 7 demons. Shakba, Marbaya, Abara, Mizmar, Numderki, and Baktash. Okay. Oh, here's just a reminder, huh? Yeah, we're going to get to this. We're going to get to this. I have to go to the show folder at this time, because in the show folder is a lot of this stuff is not available to be shown on the screen, so I had to get a copy of it, and I put it to text files. Some of this stuff, not a lot of some of this stuff. Maybe it's 50-50. Anyway, here we go. So we need to go to the readings. And first one is, there are no readings. Maybe I put it in here. Yes, I put it in here for some reason. Here's my pointers. I just have pointers to this work. As primary article. That's to something else. This I have to cut and paste out here. It's actually a different topic, different subtopic. We'll be covering all these today. Okay. I have the pointers here to tell me where to go. Let's reduce this to something small but readable for me. And then I'll reduce it further. Yeah. Okay, we start at... Now, what we're reading from now, this is the source of everything I just read, although not all of it, because I didn't recognize that story about the Babylonians finding the vessel of brass, in which Solomon imprisoned the 72 demons. So the original source is actually the Tales from the Arabian Nights, which is actually called the Book of the Thousand Nights and a Night. That's the actual name of it. It's the Arabian Nights. But the interesting thing about that, you may hear that and think, oh, what, they're all fictional stories, right? No. In fact, the Arabian Nights, by measure of volume, has more remembered history in it than the Gospels. There's more remembered cultural history in the Arabian Nights than is in the Gospels. So the first place we're going to go, and what we're looking for, of course, is stuff that could reflect remembered history here in the tales. And the first place we're going is the 567th night. And there's actually, I guess, 1,000 of these. I never went to the end of it. I only had to go up to the 577th night. The tales are spread across several nights, and sometimes the nights aren't always in a row, which you'll see coming up. But we're starting with the 577th night. So let's just search for that. We'll see. Find 577th night. Okay. And start at My Father Told Me. Let me go down here a little bit. And end at I Repent. Where is it? The one I saw, oh, it actually got expanded. Minus. Where is it? It's kind of early. My Father Told Me. Where is it? Oh, I just searched for the phrase, right? What an idiot. My father told me of my... See? Go there, search for this. For some reason, it didn't pick it up at first. Oh, I'm going in reverse order. Oh, I put this in reverse order. That's why. Okay. So, yeah, I hope I remember all this stuff. We have to go here first. It's spread over 3 different tales from the book. From the work, let's say. There it is. Then said the sheik. There it is. It ends with, and directed them in the way thither. Okay. Then said the Sheikh Abd al-Samad to the jinn, "O there, I would fain ask thee of a thing, whereof do thou inform us." "Ask what thou wilt," answered the Ifrit Dahish. And the Sheikh said, Are there hereabouts any of the Ifrits imprisoned in bottles of brass from the time of Solomon?" "Yes," replied the jinn. "There be such in the Sea of Al-Kakar, on the shores whereof dwell a people of the lineage of Noah. For their country was not reached by the deluge, and they are cut off there from any other sons of Adam." Quoth Abd al-Samad, "And which way is the way to the city of brass, and the place wherein are the vessels of Solomon? And what distance lieth between us and it?" Quoth the Ifrit, "It is near at hand," and directed them in the way thither. That's the end of the first part of the story. Second part of the story. When it was the 567th night. Starts with, "My father told me." Okay, let me just search for it. And ending with, "I repent." Okay, there we go. Ending with, "I repent." "My father told me of my grandfather, that he once took ship with a company, intending for the island of Sicilia, or Sicily, and sailed until there arose against them a contrary wind, which drove them from their course and brought them after a month to a great mountain, one of the lands of Allah the Most High. But where that land was, they did not know. Quoth my grandfather, this was in the darkness of the night, and as soon as it was day, there came forth to us from the caves of the mountain folk black of color and naked of body. Now, being blown in a ship that's going to Sicily, evidently they landed on Africa, on the coast of Africa. And when they say naked of body, I assume they don't mean entirely naked, as we would think today, but sparsely clad. They understood not one word of what was addressed to them, nor was there any of them who knew Arabic, except their king. When he saw the ship, he came down to it with a company of his followers, and saluting us, bade us welcome and question us of our case and of our faith. We told him all concerning ourselves, and he said, Be of good cheer, for no harm shall befall you. And when we, in turn, asked them of their faith, we found that each was of one of the many creeds prevailing before the preaching of Islam and the mission of Muhammad. So my shipmates remarked, We know not what thou sayest. Then quoth the king, No Adam's son hath ever come to our land before you. But fear not, and rejoice in the assurance of safety and of return to your own country. Then he entertained us 3 days, feeding us on the flesh of birds and wild beasts and fishes, other than which they had no meat. And on the fourth day he carried us down to the beach, that we might divert ourselves by looking upon fisher folk. There we saw a man casting his net to catch fish. And presently he pulled them up, and behold, in them was a vessel of copper, stopped with lead, and sealed with the signet of Solomon, son of David. He brought the vessel to land, and broke it open, when there came forth a smoke, which rose a twisting blue to the zenith, and we heard a horrible voice, saying, I repent, pardon, O prophet of Allah. I will never return to that which I did aforetime. Oh, he's still saying that. I will never return to that which I did aforetime. Then the smoke became a terrible giant, frightful of form, whose head was level with the mountain tops. And he vanished from our sight, while our hearts were well nigh torn out for terror. But the blacks thought nothing of it. And the third and concluding part of the tale is in, concluding part of the story is in the 577th night's tale. And it begins with, they came in sight of a high mountain. And it ends with, this sea is known as Al-Kakar. Oh, there's two different sections. I'm reading two sections from this tale. The first one begins here and ends with, this sea is known as Al-Kakar. It starts with this. They came in the sight of a high mountain, overlooking the sea and full of caves, wherein dwelt a tribe of blacks, clad in hides, with burnouses also of hide, and speaking an unknown tongue. When they saw the troops, they were startled like shying steeds, and fled into the caverns, whilst their women and children stood at the cave doors, looking on the strangers. O Sheikh Abd-al-Samad, asked the Emir, what are these folk? And he answered, they are those whom we seek for the commander of the faithful. So they dismounted, and setting down their loads, pitched their tents, whereupon, almost before they were done, down came the king of the blacks from the mountain, and drew near the camp. Now he understood the Arabic tongue. So when he came to the Emir, he saluted him with the salam and Musa. He saluted him with the salam, and Musa returned his greeting and entreated him with honor. Musa must be the name of the Black King. Then quoth he to the Emir, are ye men or jinn? Well, we are men, quoth Musa. But who is Musa? Now I got mixed up. I don't think it really matters. Anyway, Musa is quoting to who? But doubtless ye are jinn, to judge by your dwelling apart in this mountain. Nay, rejoined the black. Then he quoth to the Emir. So the Black King said, are ye men or jinn? Musa is the leader of the Arab party, I guess. Then the Black King quoth to the Emir, are ye men or jinn? Well, we are men, quoth Musa, but doubtless ye are jinn, to judge by your dwelling apart in this mountain which is cut off from mankind, and by your inordinate bulk. This must be a different crew, a different captain. encountering the same folk. Nay, rejoined the black, we are also children of Adam, of the lineage of Ham, son of Noah. And this sea is known as Al-Karkar. And the final section begins with, quoth Musa. Hope I find the right one. Quoth Musa. So, got to be the one down here. Yeah. And ending with, but they died of the great heat. Beginning with, quoth Musa, ending with, they died of the great heat. Quoth Musa, we are officers of the sovereign al-Islam, the commander of the faithful, Abd al-Malik bin Marwan, who hath heard tell of the Lord Solomon, son of David, and of that which the Most High bestowed upon him of supreme dominion, how he held sway over the jinn and beast and bird, and was wont, when he was wroth with one of the Marids, to shut him in a vessel of brass, and stopping its mouth on him with lead, whereon he impressed his seal ring, to cast him into the sea of Al-Karkar. Now we have heard tell that this sea is nigh your land, near your land, nigh, near your land. So the commander of the faithful hath sent us hither, to bring him some of these vessels, that he may look thereon and solace himself with their sight. Such then is our case, and what we seek of thee, O king, and we desire that thou further us in the accomplishment of our errand commanded by the commander. With love and gladness, replied the Black King, and carrying them to the guest house, and treated them with the utmost honor, and furnished them with all they needed, feeding them upon fish. They abode thus 3 days, when he bade his divers fetch from out of the sea some of the vessels of Solomon. So they dived and brought up 12 vessels, whereat the emir and the sheik and all the company rejoiced in the accomplishment of the caliph's need. Caliph. Caliph? The caliph? Then Musa gave the king of the blacks many and great gifts, and he in turn made him a present of the wonders of the deep, being fishes in human form. Fishes that have a human form. Saying, your entertainment these 3 days hath been of the meat of these fish. Some kind of compliment, I imagine. Quoth the emir, we need to carry some of these to the caliph, for the sight of them will please him more than the vessels of Solomon. Mermaids and or mermen. Then they took leave of the Black King and set it out on their homeward journey, traveled till they came to Damascus, where Musa went into the commander of the faithful and told him all that he had seen and heard, the verses and legends, together with the manner of the death of Talib bin Sal. And the caliph said, wish I had been with you. I might have seen what you saw. Then he took the brazen vessels and opened them, vessel after vessel, whereupon the devils came forth of them, saying, we repent, O Prophet of Allah. Never again will we return to the like of this thing, no, never. And the caliph at this marveled. As for the daughters of the deep, presented to them by the Black King, they made them cisterns of planks full of water. In other words, wooden boxes filled to hold water. And laid them therein. But they died of the great heat. And that's really all. Up here's the 578th night. And that's the end of that story. So we get rid of this. And we're on to... Here is a picture at reddit.com. And a post from Aloof Dude in the subreddit High Strangeness, entitled "The Imperial Treasury of Vienna attested that this was a real demon which had been trapped in glass during an exorcism in the 17th century Germany. You're currently banned from this community." Well, that just happened. I could see the... that's okay, but at least show us the picture. Banned from the community. I've been banned before. Usually it's for advertising. Always for advertising. But I've never been banned for like this. I was using this all day long. I was looking at this all day long, and I don't care. At least we can read the posts, right? Let's refresh this, see if we get the picture back. Yes. Okay, here's the picture of the exorcised demon. And at this point, I have to go here. This is the one that doesn't have much. One of the ones that doesn't have much, or about half of the stuff I can't display online. So I had to copy it to a text document. So my apologies. So here's the primary article. I guess that I read that first. The Devil in Glass. I wrote this with the help of AI. A mysterious object from Imperial Vienna. One of the most unusual objects kept from Europe's early modern period is known as Teufel im Glas, or Devil in Glass. This object is now held by the Kunsthistorisches Museum Wien in Austria. It is a clear glass prism with a small dark figure inside that moves when the glass is handled. What makes this object especially interesting is not just how it looks, but what official records claim about it. Welcome to Colin Lambedarn, composer extraordinaire. Welcome, Colin. According to an 18th century description from the Imperial Treasury in Vienna, the figure inside the glass was a spirit or demon that had been forced out of a possessed person and trapped in the glass. The artifact is made of a clear glass, shaped like a prism. Inside is a small, dark, humanoid figure. When the glass is tilted or turned, the figure moves. And by the way, it's been examined by scientists, and there's no explanation for why it moves. I'm not kidding. There is no written proof that the object was meant to be a toy or a trick. Early records focus only on what people observed, that the figure moved, and on what they believed the object represented. The most important historical description comes from a printed guide to the Imperial Secular Treasury published in Vienna in 1720. This guide describes the object as a spiritus familiaris in a glass. Spiritus familiaris, which was formerly driven out of a possessed person and banished into this glass, and is said to be moving when beheld. Now they're reporting that all you have to do is look at it, and it moves. This description is important for several reasons. It appears in an official imperial publication, not a rumor or a folktale. The wording is calm and factual, and not exaggerated, like creepypastas. The description does not express doubt about the claim. The guide does not name the possessed person, the place, or the date of the event. Still, it records the story as valid information. What is known about the exorcism? It was believed to have happened before 1720, possibly in the 1600s. Said to have taken place in Germany. The spirit was described as being forced out of a possessed person and confined in the glass. No names of priests or witnesses or the possessed person survive in the records, nor church documents or trial records or parish reports. No details explain how the spirit was trapped inside the glass. But people in the imperial treasury believed the story strongly enough to record it officially. When if you lost your job, you were like, screwed. Lose a job at the imperial treasury and you'll be digging dung for the rest of your life. In 1908, art historian Julius von Schlosser discussed the object in his book, Die Kunst- und Wunderkammern der Spätrenaissance. Der Spätrenaissance. Schlosser quoted the 1720 treasury description word for word and confirmed that the object was still preserved in the former imperial collections. Schlosser grouped the object with similar glass figures that were common in the 1600s. You know, guys, it is really getting chilly in here, and I have to find my shoes. So, my copious apologies, but I must find my shoes. So, I'm thinking for green tea and the other people who have never seen my early video on the demon trapped inside a Dybbuk box, we're going to play you for that right now, as soon as we find it. And that's on YouTube. No, that's on YouTube here. And we need to go to my studio. And to my content. That's what they call it, content. And on regular videos, we just have to search for Dybbuk, spelled the correct way, with a Y. And there it is. Which is better? I Was a Millennial Dybbuk or Dybbuk Stories? I'm going to do the latter one. Probably more polished. This was one of my favorites. I thought this was great. Look at that beautiful thumbnail I made for that. Devil or an Angel. Millennial Dybbuk. I'm going to do the first one. Because that's got to have the basics anyway. This one might be, who knows, maybe stories about people who had Dybbuk boxes. This one has the history and everything, I'm sure of it. It's called, the thumbnail says Curse of the Dybbuk, but The title is Dybbuk Stories. Let's go there. Let's open link a new tab here. And go to that tab. Pay attention, Bill. And view on YouTube.
The early hit.
And I saw the audio working. And now we're going to make this big. Going to make this big. Right? Yeah.
The early history of possession recounts only those controlled by demons. It was later that man recognized he could also be possessed by ghosts of the dead. During the reign of the Roman Emperor Vespasian, the cases of possession included his son. The ancient historian Josephus was an eyewitness to the treatment of the young boy by the exorcist Eleazar. In preparation, Eleazar first washed his hands in a basin. Then he plunged a medicinal root into hot coals, removing it when it started to smoke. Eleazar commanded the devil to leave the boy and waved the smoking root under his nostrils. When the young man inhaled, the devil flew out of him. Although the demon was invisible, it knocked over the wash basin, spilling water at the boy's feet. Knowledge of the Dybbuk has come down to our time from Jews in Eastern European countries. The Dybbuk is the soul of a dead man, a wicked man, which enters the body of a living person and refuses to leave. In the 20th century, in a small town in Poland, a rabbi married his daughter to a student of the Torah. The newlywed wife wondered how they would eat if her husband spent all his time studying. The husband said he could not do business and throw his Torah to the sea. The wife suggested they use the gold of her dowry to buy a store. She volunteered to run it all day long, except for 2 hours when her husband would mind the store. The rest of the day he could study. To this he agreed. Throughout the summer months, the woman kept to the schedule. Then 2 hours turned into 4, and then into 6, and 8, and more. By the following year, the man was fully engaged in business, with no time to open a book. On their first anniversary, the wife suffered choking fits and could no longer speak. They traveled to the nearest city in search of an exorcist, and they found Rabbi Mendel. Mendel diagnosed the wife was possessed by a Dybbuk. He questioned the spirit inhabiting her form. "Who are you?" It said it was a merchant, a man who traveled to Africa by sea. He claimed he was corrupted by business partners, and among his many transgressions, he included murder. On returning to Poland, a torrential storm sank his boat, and he perished. Since then, his tortured soul has roamed the earth. The rabbi then asked, "Why have you invaded this woman?" The Dybbuk first laughed, and then it answered only, "She brought it on herself." Rabbi Mendel suggested the husband should return to the Torah. The husband gave his pledge to do so. The rabbi gathered a total of 10 men to perform the rite of exorcism and put the woman on a chair in the middle of the room. She began to bleed from her left hand, but then her choking stopped. One of the window panes fractured as the evil spirit departed, and the woman was cured. The modern world continues to be plagued by this phenomenon. In 2014, a Dybbuk was suspected at nuptials in the Hamptons. The night before the wedding, the groom was treated to a bachelor party by his friends. As if possessed, he started a fight in a bar and spent 3 hours in jail. The next morning, everyone was texted not to tell the bride. But the girlfriend of one witness was a bridesmaid, so everyone knew the bride would find out. They had agreed to write their own vows. The bride went first. The groom never wrote anything down, so he said, "You were there when I was a jerk. You were there when I was sick. And when I got arrested the night before our wedding." The bride stared at him in disbelief. She had no idea.
All right. Okay, where were we? Here somewhere. Oh, yeah, we're here, right? Oh, yeah. Schlosser grouped the object with similar glass figurines that were common in the 1600s. These were sometimes called Galgenmenschen, small figures in glass. However, Schlosser did not say the treasury description was false. He explained that people in earlier centuries understood such objects in magical or spiritual ways. The imperial collection that held the devil in glass was part of a Kunstkammer. That's right, Kunstkammer. Or a cabinet of curiosities. These collections were not like modern museums. Kunstkammern included natural wonders, man-made marvels, religious objects, and items that could not easily be explained. Objects were kept because they were strange. A moving figure inside glass fit perfectly in this tradition. Today, the Kunsthistorisches Museum presents the object as a curiosity from the early 1600s. Modern descriptions focus on its craftsmanship. There is no modern study that proves the object is only a mechanical trick. This leaves it in a rare position of uncertainty. The devil in glass remains an object whose full meaning has never been firmly settled. What can be said with certainty is that it is a real surviving artifact. One preserved in the imperial collections of Vienna and described in official records as containing a confined spiritus familiaris. Those who catalogued it in the early 18th century did so without expressing doubt, suggesting they regarded the claim as possible. Today, no clear evidence exists to prove exactly how the object works, nor to fully explain the story attached to it. Modern explanations may point towards illusion, but these interpretations do not erase the fact that earlier observers encountered something they could not explain and chose to record it rather than dismiss it. Approaching the devil in glass with an open mind means accepting this uncertainty. The object stands as a reminder that history sometimes leaves us with questions instead of answers, and that not all artifacts can be easily reduced to simple explanations. Until more is known, the devil in glass continues to invite thought, curiosity, and the possibility that there is more to its story than we currently understand. And that's just the first part of this story. Because next, we have, there's the folder. Next, we have, what? Where'd my stuff go? How'd I get rid of my stuff? Undo move. No, redo move. Oh, I lost my folder. This is not good. Oh, it's in the above folder. In the folder above. This is all about glass. Okay. I have more. I have lots more on this. Where the heck is it? Oh, here we go. Here is one of the original documents describing the artifact. In Zeitschrift des Vereins für Volkskunde. For what? I collapse this. For Volkskunde. For Volkskunde. Von Hermann Michel. Printed in Berlin. Printed in Berlin. Is a description in German of the artifact. And I had it translated into English for free online. And that translation is here. What the title is, Zeitschrift is newspaper. Or came to mean newspaper. Folks, people. Kunde, don't know. For something for people. Sorry. Sorry about that. Let's get that English text. English translation. Okay, let's look for the actual article itself. Search for, where's the search? There it is. Der Teufel im Glase. How do we get there? Again, there it is. Can we increase that a little bit? Where's the magnifier? Over here. No, AI assistant. No, I do not want an AI assistant. I do not want an AI assistant. Cut it out. Geisa. Better go down here gently before we try to. Well, can we move right like that? How do we go to see the thing? Oh, I know. There we go. Oh, that's not good. Oh, I just want that one. This one only, guys. Shit. I mean, Scheiße. There we go. Der Teufel im Glase. Nach der Vorstellung blieb der Teufel von Zeit zu Zeit Mückengestalt anzunehmen, which translates as The Devil in Glass by P. Beck, 1911. According to popular belief, the devil likes from time to time to assume the form of a gnat, to lodge himself in wood paneling, to enter a glass, a jug, or even plants. Entertaining in this regard is the story of the end of Dr. Frosties, Theophrastus Paracelsus, who once bound the devil into a glass, but then through carelessness allowed him to escape again, and for that reason lost his life miserably. The true home of the legend of the devil in the glass is, however, probably to be sought in the Cistercian Imperial Abbey of Kaiserhelm on the Ries, founded in 1132 CE AD and secularized in 1802. The chronicles of this abbey, one German manuscript chronicle extending to the year 1525 by P. Nabel, as well as two Latin manuscript chronicles extending the year to 1675, report that once Duke Meinhard of Carinthia came with his daughter, who was possessed by the devil, to the Cistercian monastery of Stams in Tyrol, whose monks were widely renowned for their piety, and were of great help to many afflicted persons, especially those tormented by the evil enemy, and that he came there to seek assistance. The monks applied all their effort and means, but in vain. Suddenly the devil cried out, "No man will drive me out of here, unless NN from Kaiserhelm comes." The full name of NN is not given in the chronicles. The devil said this only in cunning. Welcome to Synchro 505. Mike provides all the incidental music for the show. By the way, Synchro, people were asking after you today. You might want to rewind to the maybe 30 minutes in, maybe. You're a popular commodity, my friend. For the devil knew well that this lay brother had taken a vow never again to cross the threshold of the monastery or enter the choir. So monastery separate from the church. This monk, NN, who the devil said is the only one who can keep him there, is not going to go there because he made a vow not to go into the monastery or the church. The abbot then summoned the brother, who pointed to his vow and declared it impossible to comply with the duke's wish. But the abbot commanded him, in holy obedience, to go. Without hesitation, he now obeyed and came to Stams. As soon as the devil became aware of the monk, he began to scream terribly. But the brother did not fear him, and commanded him to eternal silence. He ordered him to leave the Duchess immediately and withdraw into a small iron container, and not to leave it even if it should be broken. Quite the curse for the devil. Loaded with thanks and carrying the devil in a little container, the brothers set out on the return journey to Kaiserheim. Almost said Kaiserhelm. There the devil was placed into a glass and hung high up under the vaulting of the church. From this derives the proverb, "The devil in the glass at Kaiserheim," and "I will show you a devil in the glass." The Latin chronicler remarks that this account had been related to him by his seniors, and that he wished to pass it on for the benefit of his readers. The devil is mentioned several more times in the chronicle, namely in the years 1483, 1493, and 1510. For over 200 years, the poor devil has said to have hung in the glass. That the devil did not refrain from teasing the monks during his imprisonment is shown by the story that once 50 monks stood in the choir and were unable to bring forth or intone the fifth mode. So they're singing and they can't intone the fifth mode. And we must ask AI. And AI is, I think it's here. What, in terms of a choir, is, I'll paste it in here, the fifth mode? Eldergrown says they couldn't get the tone right. Eldergrown also says, poor devil. In Western music theory, especially as applied to choir singing, the fifth mode usually refers to the Mixolydian mode. Okay, what's the Mixolydian mode? Music modes are scale patterns derived from starting from a diatonic scale on different scale degrees. In a sequence of 7 common modes: Dorian, Phrygian, Ionian, Lydian, Mixolydian, Aeolian, and Locrian. The fifth in order is Mixolydian. In practical terms, if you take a C major scale, in other words, they can't sing it. Let's just reduce that. At that point, the devil loudly called into the church. Sun quinquaginta, manaciant coro, et nesciunt quintum tonum. Or, there are 50 monks in the choir, and they don't know the fifth tone. The Emperor Frederick III, who was well disposed towards Kaiserheim, once visited the church around the middle of the 15th century, the 1400s that is, with his young Prince Maximilian, later Emperor Maximilian I. When he noticed the glass with the devil in the church, he ordered one of his boldest servants to climb up to the vault, pull down the glass, and look at the devil to see whether he might learn something. The servant quickly climbed up, but when he reached the place where the glass had hung, he was seized by such terror that he immediately fainted. When he came to himself again, he refused to look at the devil a second time. A carved wooden image of the devil in the glass, that is, a carved wooden image which separately represents the devil in the glass, still existed long after the dissolution of the monastery. About 40 years ago, there were still people alive who had seen it. How it later disappeared is unknown. I'm assuming he's still talking about the wooden image. Oh, and this is the end. This is the end of the story in the original German. In the hall of the former Kaiserheim Manor at Leitheim, there is a ceiling painting from the year 1751. Now, excuse me. In which a clergyman is shown pointing at the devil in the glass. Two boys. In other words, the clergyman has a bunch of boys with him, and he's in the painting on the ceiling, which still exists. We're going to get to that in a second. Which still exists. Couldn't find a picture of it. There's no picture of it, as far as I know. We'll take a look. And maybe there is, because I didn't look. I just took AI's word for it, which is stupid because AI is stupid. So we will look for that picture. I do not have high hopes, however. But yeah, Kaiserheim Manor at Leitheim. So let's copy Kaiserheim Manor at Leitheim and add devil, and then we'll try Teufel, which is German for devil. Okay, so we will reduce. No, we'll just, yeah, we'll reduce this. We can reduce this. That's the end of the story. And why'd I do that? Because we're going to go to the other browser. Through pictures. And first we're going to try devil. Devil painting. A priest with boys pointing at the devil in a glass. Yeah, I'm not seeing it immediately. Not a good sign. Not much. Oh. No. No, negative. It's not available. And the reason is, as was explained to me by AI, is that that place, obviously, is still there today. And it's only open only open part of the time, and they charge for entrance. So they're not going to publish any pictures of their paintings. I did find one picture. It was a religious picture, had nothing to do with the devil in glass. Okay, we got to rein ourselves back here. I think we have one more item. Or do I? What about not substantial but pertinent? Glosser. These are both in German. Yeah, that's about it. Oh, shoot, I forgot to promote Gotcha Man's movie. We're going to be watching a movie this coming Wednesday on Twitch, hosted by Gotcha Man. It's a double feature, actually. Let me show you what that is. Okay, that's going to be... Oh, it's on this, which had disappeared. There it is. Got it. And then we need this. And then we need to change the font on this. I mean, why don't I get there we go. I didn't get a little cursor there to expand it. Now I got it. Well, we can go like this. Oh, no. I did it again. Oh, there we go. Just a little over here and move it over, and now we can get it. All right. And we're going to change this to a font I use for everything. Official. This is how I address my envelopes, people. My hands are not that good, so I always print out my addresses, and I always use Georgia font. And let's make it so you can see it. And we're just going to erase the old movies from last week. This is on every week, people. And I'm going to paste in the new stuff. Oh, I didn't get it. Goodness gracious. Oh, he has it again. All I got was Gotcha Man's name on that one. Where's the paste? There it is. From the Coen brothers. Two geniuses. Blood Simple and Miller's Crossing. Miller's Crossing is so good. Blood Simple, a classic. And the Coen brothers, you can't beat them. So it's only on Twitch. And to find Gotcha Man on Twitch, just enter his name as you see it here on this channel, in the chat. Gotcha Man. Spelled like this. G-A-T-C-H-O. Man. And it's this coming Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. And you don't have to join Twitch. Come and watch the movie with us. If you want a roaring good time, you'll be there. I know I will. Until then, may God bless and protect us all.